Hello, my lovelies. This is going to be our weekly shadow work. So, this is a chance for us to kind of see what's going on, what's hidden beneath the surface, what's happening with our unconscious or our subconscious mind. And remember that your shadow is your teacher. So, let's see what we have going on. All right, what do we need to know? Conversations with our inner self, what's hidden? What are some things that are triggering us that maybe we need to work on? Remember, this deck works just like it says, conversations with your inner self. So if these resonate for you, talk it out with yourself and see kind of maybe what's going on. So what do we need to know from our shadow self? Judgment. What do you judge others for? And do you do the same thing that you judge others for? So kind of something that you might need to think about. What else do we need to know? Admiration. What traits do you admire in others? And could these be disowned aspects of yourself? Hidden self. What parts of yourself do you feel that you have to hide at work or at school or in life in general? Blame. What do you often blame others for? And anger. How do you cope with your anger? So definitely some food for thought. All right, part 2 is how we integrate or how we find the balance. So integrating our shadow self into our light self. What do we need to know? Purpose. How can your shadow self help you to understand your purpose? Qualities. What qualities do you see in others that also reflect qualities in you? Failure. How can your shadow self help you develop a healthier attitude towards failure and mistakes? Future self. How do you see your future self dealing with your shadow self? Ancestors. Think about your ancestors. What questions do you have for them? And inner critic. What does your inner critic most often say to you? What evidence can you find to combat your inner critic? Remember, your inner critic is your ego. So definitely some food for thought there that we might need to change some things. All right, let's see what we need to know from our shadow self this week. What's going on? What's hidden? What wisdom do we need to know? All right, the Eight of Cups. So trying to walk away from maybe a relationship that's not meant for you, things that are challenging. I get the sense that maybe you already have done this, or maybe it's something you're contemplating, that you want to leave something behind where you've exhausted all options, all efforts, you've tried and tried and tried, and nothing is getting better. So this may be time for you to throw in the towel, or if you already have, congratulations that you've left something behind. Bottom of the deck, we have the Hanged Man. So this tells us that it's self-imposed. I feel like you're finally starting to see the light, so to speak, and you're starting to realize that you don't have to stay in a dead-end relationship or a dead-end job or anywhere in life where things just aren't really working out for you, that you can change, you can transform, and sometimes the hardest part is taking that first step. Watch out for some authority figures this week. Could be like a boss, could be a parental figure, could be a spouse, but somebody who is maybe a little bit cold and abrasive, somebody who's kind of sharp-tongued, somebody who it's really kind of difficult to get them to show emotions unless it's anger. So be cautious with that energy. Yeah, and I feel like that's where it's coming to an end. So we have water energy, Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio, air energy, Libra, Gemini, or Aquarius, and Scorpio energy with the Death card. You're going through some sort of transformative energy, a metamorphosis. And so not all of that is pleasant, right? Some of that's quite painful. But as we change and we grow and we transform, all of a sudden we emerge, right? We're a different being, a different creature. You could be going through spiritual ascension. You could be doing a lot of shadow work to where you really are night and day different as a person. So let's say when you start your shadow work, maybe you're one way and you accept certain things, and as you transition and you grow and you ascend, all of a sudden it's like, those things that were appealing to my unhealed parts no longer appeal to me. So you have to eliminate those and cut those out. I do feel like it's time for you to start planning or setting some goals for your future. And so I feel like maybe that is something that you've doubted for a long time, but I feel like that's going to be changing as well. I feel like you're going to be starting fresh and starting something new. What else is hidden? All right, the Six of Swords. So you are actually trying to leave this situation behind. We have the Eight of Cups and the Six of Swords. So it's like enough is enough. You're finally tipping the scales in one direction so you don't have to stay stuck and stagnant. So what is it that needs to change for you to be able to leave and find your peace? Part of that might be you're going towards a connection that isn't so great. Watch out for people who are arrogant, selfish, somebody who's very immature, and somebody who really is kind of holding you back or keeping you stuck. Because I feel like you think you've missed an opportunity or you are afraid to actually leave, but you're going to have the world at your fingertips. It's like there's a cycle that's just not closed yet. So you have to make that conscious decision to leave or to end it, something that's just not working. We also have the death card out here telling us it needs to be permanent. And the tower, it actually came out reversed, but you don't read reversals in this since we have the shadow deck. So we have some major changes that need to occur. Major endings is what I feel like. For some of you, it may feel like a catastrophe. It may actually happen by accident that some of these things change and transform, but I do think that there is a sense that this is needed, and I feel like there's going to be a sense of relief once it actually ends, and that helps to stop all the conflict and chaos and to help you find your peace. So let's see what else we need to know. How do we integrate? How do we find the balance? All right, the Five of Cups. You have to shift your perspective. I feel like you really need to see the truth for what it is in this situation that you're trying to leave behind. And if you're constantly fighting back and forth with this person, if you feel like there's no hope for things to go forward, then you already have your answer. It's time to finally sever ties and let go. Again, the King of Swords is out here. So I feel like this person is very difficult to deal with. I do feel like it's somebody that really demands respect, but they don't give that. And so that's really something that's hard to deal with as well. They're very wise, but I feel like they don't always show that side of themselves. I feel like they could be very stoic on the outside, like not able to show their emotions or they're uncomfortable showing emotions other than like rage and anger. So that's not healthy. So you know that you need to leave this, but it's like whatever this is holding you back. You're going to have to gather your courage. You might have to have a conversation with this person to tell them that it's ending. I feel like it's going to be better if you do have a face to face and tell them that it's over versus you like ghosting them or just, text breakup, things like that. I feel like you at least owe it to this person to tell them, look, this doesn't work for me anymore. I'm not happy. My needs aren't being met. Things are just not well between the two of us. Like it's time to leave. And I feel like you're the one who's going to have to take action in order to change these things. You're going to have to be brave and courageous. You can't sit back and just expect things to change on their own. Although for some of you, I feel like divine intervention is occurring because the tower is out here with death. All right, the Magician. You might be praying or trying to manifest this ending as well. I get the sense that it could be something you think about often, like how am I going to leave? How am I going to get out of here? Maybe financially you can't afford to live on your own or something. But I do feel like you can create the life of your dreams, but you have to be brave and you have to keep a positive mindset. You also have to see the truth for what it is. If this is in no way, shape, or form going to get better, then start planning for your future. What would be better? What do you need to do to get to this next opportunity? And really start kind of coming up with a game plan. See the truth for what it is. If things are very imbalanced and maybe someone has deceived you or there's been some sort of manipulation or someone's pulled the wool over your eyes, you need to be honest with yourself and see that for what it is, because how do you change something you won't acknowledge? So you cannot live in denial. That's not going to help you. Five of Swords, lots of conflict that you're hoping to leave behind. You want your peace. I feel like you may have had an argument with this person. Ending this may also create an argument with this person, but I feel like you're tired and you actually want some relief. You have a choice to make when it comes to love. Either you're going to choose to stay and keep going, or you're going to choose to leave that behind. But I feel like there's somebody better trying to come in. I feel like this other person, this Knight of Wands, may have changed, and maybe they were very arrogant and very rude and somebody who is non-committal, and maybe something has changed with that person as well. They might also be doing some shadow work. I get the sense there's a love triangle here as well. We have water, air, and fire as the preliminary elements that are out here. So could be, you know, water sign, air sign, fire sign energy. That there's a lot of things that are up in the air, but somebody's got to make a decision, and you can't overthink it. You've got a new chapter trying to come into your life. But I also feel like a cycle isn't closed because nobody's made a decision, right? So that creates some turmoil as well. Spirit wants this tower to happen so that you're forced to take a leap of faith, that you are forced out of your comfort zone. Aries energy, both with the Fool and the Magician. So I feel like you could be dealing with an Aries very strongly. I also think that this tower is going to happen because it's meant to, like divine intervention at its finest, that you maybe wouldn't move unless somebody actually forced it. And so whether this is like the other person is choosing something that creates change in your life, or whether you finally had enough and you're the one who's creating the change in your life, you need to step out of your comfort zone and take that leap of faith. You've manifested this change to come in, but I feel like the parameters weren't clear, and Spirit's like, oh, no limits on how this approaches, so we're just going to bring a tower moment and clear the slate so that this new opportunity has a path to come in. So when you manifest, you have to be clear on what it is that you want. And I feel like for some of you, it was just get me the hell out of here because I'm sick of this shit. And for others of you, it was more clear. So don't be surprised if there's a tower that helps to change things. And we have the Eight of Cups again. So where we started is where we're ending, right? We have a decision to make. Some of you are very clear. You know you want to walk away. Others are still in this decision mode of, is this really what I want? Should I leave? Should I stay? If you've exhausted all your options, you don't have a choice. You have to leave because it's not suiting your purpose. All right, any other challenges that we are overcoming this week that we need to know? Anything else that's hidden from us? The Hermit. Shadow work's needed. So you have to look at the bigger picture. I feel like you really need some time by yourself to contemplate your next move, start planning a strategy of how to leave this situation. And I feel like the light will click on for you. It's like you're going to get the epiphany or whatever you need in order to be able to see this situation for what it is. And when you do the shadow work, again, things that you were drawn to before, you won't be drawn to now. Why? Because you're changed. Your soul has changed. It no longer craves broken and disruptive chaos. It craves stability and peace and serenity. So the shadow work is worth it because no one deserves to live in turmoil. And I feel like there's a lot of that in this situation. It's a very heavy burden, and it's time to finally let it go once and for all to get to your new beginning. You could have a new job potentially coming in where you thought you missed an opportunity. Things are circling back around. Remember, if it's meant for you, it'll find you. And we have the Knight of Cups. So somebody who's lacking confidence to go forward here. But I feel like once they find that, then it's like all of a sudden things start to move forward. We go towards our peace instead of conflict and chaos. But we need some time to rest. So don't be ashamed to take that. Maybe you need more sleep right now. Maybe you're burnout and exhausted. Maybe you've been living in fucking survival mode for a century. I don't know. But you need to take that time to yourself to reflect and to rest. I feel like you've learned the hard way is what it feels like, that love has been very painful for a lot of you. I feel like a lot of maybe bad relationships. Maybe you picked really crummy partnerships. Maybe it was a marriage that ended, a lot of conflict in dysfunctional families. And I feel like this is something that we're working towards breaking that cycle. You might be the generational curse breaker in your family. You might be the one that sees this as a pattern and says, no more. This shit stops with me. I'm not going to carry this forward. So you're laying that burden down. And I feel like that's something that you have to make a conscious effort at. And the Nine of Pentacles. And so I feel like financially speaking, that's where all the fear is coming from, that it's finances. It's like mentally you may have already checked out, but financially you might not have the means to leave yet. So let's see, how do we find the way out? What do we need to know? All right, so yeah, we've got to see it for what it is, and we've got to learn to let our guard down slowly. So I feel like if we've trusted the wrong people, that may keep being a pattern as well. So if your guard is up, there's a reason for it, but somebody doesn't want the status quo to change, right? They might be comfortable in the chaos. And so it's going to take teamwork to make the dream work, to find the way out. Part of that is connecting with source energy, right? Maybe you have to have friends or family help you in order to get back on your feet. Again, plan or set some goals for your future. I feel like nothing's impossible, but you might need to start manifesting, and you have to stay positive until you see it actually happen. What is that? The Seven of Cups. You're going to have a lot more options. I feel like there might be multiple options already in love. Choose carefully. If you're unhealed, I would say stay away from that if you're just getting out of something toxic. You are going to get a breakthrough that leads to your peace and satisfaction. You're going to get a new beginning in love. Again, you may have multiple options to choose from, so you need to be kind of picky. The Queen of Swords, she's very cutthroat. She's known as the Ice Queen in tarot. Why? Well, she's sharp-tongued. She's very analytical. She's somebody who thinks about things. Her heart is in a cage because she doesn't trust people. She's been hurt too many damn times. So she's not going to just settle for less. She's evolving. She's learning, and she's somebody who sees things coming. So I feel like her intuition kind of warns her before anything actually happens. And she's looking for her happiness. She wants a fresh start. She's going towards her accomplishments. This might involve children or marriage in the future, but it looks like if you're willing to go through the tower and the changes and leave the toxic behind, you actually get your happiness and a fresh start. Have a great week, guys. We'll see you soon.